Hi friends, this is Pammy Jo, Pam Alphabet. I'm the Lord's servant, and I've been called out since I was a child, unrealizing it that I was hearing God's voice in my head at times, in between all the other voices and my own thoughts. It took me a long time to stay out of denial that I did know God. I needed proof that I did. For a long time, I doubted myself, and even when he called me out to be a prophet when I was 22, I really questioned and was nervous about sharing God's thoughts and words that he directed toward me. I was like, not a recorder, a microphone that was speaking. His voice was speaking through, is all. So I've written 3 books. The first was my Yahweh journey, how I became one with I am, with God, meaning how I was able to connect with God and recognize that it was God. My second was about Mike and my journey, realizing we were eternal and that God was influencing each of us. We began to recognize God's work within us to help our friendship and strengthen it, some of which was through hardship. That one is called, an awkward title, Romancing an Angel of the Lord. Because the reason I called it that is because I realized God brought us together several years into our relationship, and I recognized God working through him, but also him. So it was both people were in Mike, and at times it was actually God talking to me through him, which makes him an angel of the Lord, because that's in the Bible. When God comes and visits or speaks through someone you can see, that's called an angel of the Lord. It's a manifestation of God and God's will through another being who has free will and is chosen and to serve that way. And God gave us each a choice. We were doing it, but we didn't know we had chosen to, and then he reaffirmed that when we became consciously aware that we were doing it and could recognize it consciously. That's what happened with my 3rd book that I just released this month. And I did not make a big announcement, and I didn't have a launch like I hoped to, because catastrophes happened in my life right then to several people I love that tied up my time. But the book was ready. It was sitting here, nothing being done. So I decided to go ahead without a launch, get it on Amazon, and that way I could promote it later. There's a sacrifice in doing that because you don't get the new book ratings and first ranking and all those things because only a few people are aware it's been published or are interested in it. So it's out there, and I'm here to show it to you today. Finding God's Voice in the Noise, A Solitary Journey in the Darkness, Pam Alphabet, author of My Yahweh Journey, How I Became One with I Am. And let me read what's on the back. You're in the dark, searching alone, but no one seems to understand. If you do reach out for help, you may feel better for a while, but then something else goes wrong. You lose your grip and you spiral down into darkness again. You're afraid to ask for more help because you might ruin someone's mood, or they may think you're a baby and wish you'd stop bothering them. At least if you're quiet, they may not reject you. Why must you depend on anyone? Why can't you help yourself? You try praying to God, but no hand seems to magically reach out and pull you up or solve anything. In fact, if you pray and do get an answer, not long after, something worse goes wrong. You begin to wonder if God thinks you're not worth the trouble, or if it's really not God giving answers. The noise of these voices in your head who say that when you ask and seek, you find nothing, keep trying to convince you it's me. I'm a lost cause. Plus the distraction, the time wasted, the bad luck eat up all the hope you find that things might finally get better. Well, there's a person whose hand will never let you go, who rejoices hearing from you no matter what, and whose clear, assertive voice loves to share with you. That's Most High God. God's net will secure your path. So if you do fall, you'll bounce back up, healed and stronger than before. Learn how and why to find God's voice amidst all the distractions and troubles of life, and live victoriously and competently as the you who God created you to be. And that's what finding God's voice is about, is sure as we seek it, something happens. Distractions come. They race to us because there's something about giving off that light and that prayer to reach out to God, that something out there, life, our own self-doubts, our own old insecurities, they race to protect us from reaching that. That's why the Israelites were afraid to go on the mountain and be exposed to God's light. Moses did it, but even then Moses couldn't look directly at God. But Jesus made it possible for us to look toward God and receive back feedback. I had a dark day today. I was searching in the darkness myself today, because now that the book's published, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to serve. I don't know what information to share. I don't know if it'll help anyone. I don't have a well-defined audience, an ideal client, a way to reach out in dependable ways that I won't get shut down somewhere. So I had one of those days today, and even though I'm setting goals and I'm being optimistic and I'm speaking out what I want, which I believe is God's will to come for me to participate in my life, so that I can be God's will, which is what I want to do anyway, and what God wants me to do. I had such a day, and I could talk to God in my journal, but I couldn't really find answers. I was just tired, and it felt like the world, my world, our world, just rolled up in it like a scroll, and everything got written in it, and it all disappeared, and I was just standing here in a void. It's interesting that this happened right after I wrote this and published it and have promoted it and have a website with links to it, PammyJo.com. I've put links to it in my social network, and I have a page, Pammy Jo Healing, on this social platform. And that's a good way to like that page, because you can tell what I'm up to. And if there's a workshop or a freebie available, I'll post it. I also post lessons that God shows me, so I share them with you, because more than likely we all need a lot of the same things. So today I want to give you a couple of examples that are the type of the ones in the book of how God helped me. The latest one was I needed sour cream, and I needed to mail 2 copies of my books to the copyright office. And I needed to deposit my /work check. So I asked him if he'd like to go, and he said yes. And we drove together, because I felt like I couldn't even drive the car without support. I was that wiped out. So he rode with me. He went in the bank with me, because the last 2 times I've gone in the bank, the transactions get fouled up on the computer and it won't even go in. So I said, maybe if you come, having you with me will help things work smoothly. And they did. And then I went to the to the post office, and I mailed my prepaid books, and I had paid my fee. Then I stopped at the store. I needed sour cream. I took some cash, and I was hoping and praying it was on sale. And the figure $2 leaped into my mind that I wanted it to be. So I walked in our small grocery store, went back to the sour cream aisle, and then what I wanted was exactly $2. Then I got home, I went to get myself a cup of decaf in between my water, and the digital display on the coffee maker said 200. So the 2 of us took my 2 books to 2 places, and a check that was, by the way, $200 to deposit, to a place that I had to use a second label because the first label misprinted, to a grocery store that had $2 sour cream, and to a coffee pot at home as soon as I looked at it that had 200. That's finding God's voice in the noise and the void of my day. And I'm just giving you an example of the various ways God can communicate with us. That's a sign and a number example. There are a lot of ways. There's nature, there's journaling, there's music, artistry. Some people draw things, and it's the way God talks through them. Some people create things, and that's God's voice working with them to co-create. Find your way. Keep looking. And if you want some help understanding our nature, eternal nature, God's outlook on things, why connecting with God is a healing, rejuvenating, constant process, buy this book on Amazon. It's $15.99 right now. It's worth it. It's worth more than that. I may hard copy. I make another version of it that's something we can keep in our bookshelves. So take care, and thank you for watching. Love you.